The New York Knicks were just one game away from making the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 24 years. Unfortunately, injuries derailed them and they fell in 7 to the Indiana Pacers. This season, they enter as true contenders with the addition of Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. The Knicks have what it takes to compete in the East with teams like the Boston Celtics, 76ers, Bucks, Pacers, Heat, and so on. So in this video today, I'll be previewing the Knicks roster as it stands today, then how they looked in the preseason to give us a glimpse of what we can see throughout the regular season. My main goal today is to give all Knicks fans faith to believe this team can go even farther than they did last season. So let's jump into it. The Knicks won 50 games last season, a huge milestone. It placed them as the second seed in their conference, where they were able to beat Philly in the first round, but not Indy in the second round. By the end of Game 7, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, and Mitchell Robinson were all out with injuries. The Knicks didn't even really get a chance to compete, so their early exit in last year's playoffs can be justified. Moving into the offseason, Leon Rose had a clear objective to make this roster better. It started with re-signing OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency, which felt like a huge loss. Burks signed with Miami, and Bogdanovic was traded to Brooklyn for Mikal Bridges. And the most recent move, trading Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo for Karl Anthony Towns. Every player that the Knicks have moved has been heartbreaking, as we as fans have to say goodbye to players who did so much for the team during their tenure. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett were here at the team's worst and were a huge reason for this franchise's direction upwards. Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes grew as NBA players on this team. Obi Toppin, another one, but was misused and we had to move him. Isaiah Hartenstein was outbid by OKC, and Dante DiVincenzo was the final piece that ultimately influenced Minnesota's agreement. Tough business decisions were made that makes this team look completely different than last season, but on paper we do have a better team now. The starting five heading into Game 1 includes Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl Anthony Towns. Jalen Brunson is coming off his best year yet, making an all-star appearance, being All-NBA second team, and breaking scoring records in the playoffs that players like Michael Jordan previously held. In my opinion, Brunson was a top 5 player in the league last year, so I can see him surpassing his current accomplishments. After getting a contract extension, being named team captain, and being snubbed from the Olympics team, Jalen Brunson set up to have an even better year this upcoming season. Josh Hart should fit with this lineup well with his playmaking and rebounding efforts. Losing Hartenstein puts more of an emphasis on rebounding, as those second chance opportunities were super crucial for the offense last season. Hart can lead transition breaks and find his teammates for open looks. Mikal Bridges is going from being the first option in Brooklyn to a third option here, which is a role that better suits him judging from how successful that Phoenix Suns team was. Bridges adds another shot creator to the team that could lead the second unit when Brunson is on the bench. Obviously, his chemistry with the team already helps, as he not only has experience playing alongside Brunson and Hart, but also former Suns teammates Payne and Shamet. As for OG Anunoby, he's very good off the ball, as he can either catch and shoot or cut into open lanes to find the ball. On offense, his spacing on the court gives Brunson room to work, and on defense, he'll be fun to watch alongside Bridges. Then you have Karl Anthony Towns, who can literally do anything as a big man. Cat will make this lineup feel like they're running small ball the way he approaches the game. He can create his own shot, make the right passes, and be effective on screen design plays. His shooting range makes him a threat anywhere on the court, unlike Mitchell Robinson, who has a hard time getting involved on offense. Cat did a great job guarding Jokic last year in the playoffs, so we shouldn't be too concerned about his matchups against Embiid or Porzingis. The bench unit definitely took a hit with DiVincenzo being sent to Minnesota, but the players that can step up is something to really look forward to. And we saw that during the last 2 games of the preseason with the entire starting lineup resting. With Thibs' typical 9-man rotation, it's expected that Cam Payne, Miles McBride, Precious Achiuwa, and Jericho Sims will all come off the bench. Rookies Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek might crack the rotation at one point if injuries occur, and I'm really hoping at some point Ariel Hakaporti can try to crack the rotation because he looked so great in preseason. I was hoping to see Landry Shamet crack the rotation at one point, but unfortunately he suffered a really bad shoulder injury. And then you still have TJ Warren, who at one point might be used. But as for the guys who should be playing on opening night, let's start off with Cam Payne, who was a really great pickup in free agency, as he can get real hot when shots start falling. His impact will show right away because he's a fun player that can create some momentum for this team the moment he steps onto the court. His energy in the preseason games are perfect examples of what he can bring all season long. Deuce never seemed to be a point guard, so having him at the 2 now makes more sense for his game. His shooting has really improved and he's gotten better at creating his own shots over the years. His role on the team has increased now, stepping up to almost be like the 6th man coming off the bench. I don't think I need to get into details about his defense. We all know he holds his own weight against some of the best offensive players in the game. Precious Achiuwa did really great last season after the trade, and it's a huge help to this bench with him back. His 1-year, $6 million contract he came to an agreement with this summer should show how much he really wants to be a Knick. With a chance to make even more next offseason, you can imagine he'll want to play even better than last season with now a full year under his belt. His scoring and defensive contributions off the bench will go a long way, as it'll be really important for this bench to keep the team in the game or maybe even try to push them ahead. Jericho Sims gets a great opportunity here with Mitchell Robinson being out for the first 2 months of the season. He's never shown huge signs of being a reliable rotation player for this team, but he's also never gotten to play 2 months straight in that role. By the end of the season, we'll know whether Sims can be another player like McBride who can be developed and play a bigger role, or if his future isn't in New York. With great play, he can possibly encourage the Knicks front office to move on from Robinson, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Preseason was a huge success for the Knicks as they almost finished undefeated with a 4-1 record. The first 2 preseason games against the Charlotte Hornets and Washington Wizards didn't give us that clear of an image of how well this team plays together, but that third game against the Timberwolves showed a lot from the main guys. Going up against a championship caliber team like the Timberwolves was a good sign in just the third game with this unit playing together. The duo of Brunson and Cat has proved to work in the 4 games they play together. OG Anunoby looked great as usual, but Mikal Bridges showed signs of weaknesses. In the first preseason game, Bridges scored 4 points, but he did only play 13 minutes. The last game against Washington, Bridges went 2 for 22 with a total of 8 points. Josh Hart as well didn't score much points throughout the preseason games, but of course that's not the main strength of his game. He recently spoke about feeling lost in the starting lineup though, so it's very possible he's moved at one point to the bench and become the 6th man. The bench of Miles McBride, Cam Payne, and Precious Achiuwa looked really great with the extended minutes they got in preseason. Unfortunately, Achiuwa got injured in the last game, but hopefully it's not too serious. Jericho Sims didn't look as promising in his minutes, while Ariel Hakaporti looked impressive. Other rookies, Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek, are guys to be super excited about because they looked amazing. Tyler Kolek is perfectly capable of being the backup point guard if injuries occur, and Pacome Dadier could seriously step up if Achiuwa misses time. Overall, the preseason showed great signs of how strong this team can be all season long. What makes this Knicks offense exciting to see is how many scorers we have on the court. Then you have a great defensive unit, which was amazing throughout the preseason. It'll take some time, of course, but I think as the season goes on, we'll see this team improve by each game. The Knicks have the right amount of stars and role players on this team to make them contenders for the NBA Finals. This season will be fun, and with teams like Boston looking to repeat and Philly bringing in more pieces, it'll be fun to see where the Knicks finish in the race. The first game takes place on October 22nd with an opening night matchup in Boston against the reigning champions Celtics. The Knicks will look to start off strong and send the whole league a big statement. The NBA is back in a few days, which means we'll have the Knicks from here on out until April, where the championship run begins. If you love the Knicks and like this video, please consider subscribing. This was my first video and I plan to make even more throughout the season, so doing that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and let's go Knicks.